Okay, hopefully with this neighbor doing building work, it's not going to be too much hassle. I wanted to talk about a conversation I had with a friend the other day, where we had some rich insights about coping. What coping is, there is a hidden key that allows us to understand why we react negatively to certain actions that we need to do or are in front of our lives. So yeah, let's say you have homework to do. The homework is due, and you get this negative feeling every time somebody talks about homework. When you see the homework laying on your desk, it could be taxes, could be anything. It doesn't have to be homework. It's just something that we don't really want to do. It could be laundry that needs to be folded, or anything, going to the gym. You know, there are activities that we tend to associate with procrastination or coping. So I wanted to talk about this. So what do we do when we don't want to do something? We see this homework book laying on our desk, and then we get a feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'd rather do something else. And we kind of bounce off of this homework situation into something else. Right? So we have this action, like cleaning, homework, doesn't matter. It's an action that we see, and then we bounce away from it because there's a feeling associated with it. What's important to remember is that this action, doing homework or going for a run or whatever, is actually pure. There's no feeling organically attached to this action. Some people love to go for a run, some people love to do homework. It is a you problem here. It is that we have associated a feeling or an emotion with this action somewhere earlier in our lives. And it's like it's so deeply attached so that we think that it's the same. We think that homework is just something that comes naturally with a negative emotion. And we are actually, when we are coping or bouncing off of this action, we are actually reacting to the feeling associated with this action, thinking we are reacting to the action. This is the first key. Recognizing that I am reacting away from the feeling and not the action itself. We need to clean this up a little bit. It's almost as if we have a dish that is neutral, and then we eat this dish with a spoon, and this wooden spoon is kind of rotten, and we need to fix the spoon, not the dish. Okay, so we can also turn this around to something that is more common, an insight that if somebody is addicted to alcohol, addicted to a certain person, addicted to a certain action, let's say, well, it doesn't matter which thing we are addicted to, we're not actually addicted to the thing, we are addicted to the feeling associated with this thing. If we turn this around, then we land where what this video is about, that when something appears in our life that we don't want to do, it's actually not because of the action, it's the learned emotion that we have associated with this. So why do we have emotions kind of slapped onto actions that we sometimes need to do? Well, homework, for example, somewhere when we grew up, in our childhood, teens, early adult life, we had some kind of traumatic experience with this. Maybe we failed doing our homework when we really tried, or we had homework that was too difficult, maybe we were stressed, and we just kind of had this feeling, and then we associated that with this. And why did we do that? Well, it is almost as if our mind is trying to protect us from this action because it brought us trauma or something kind of traumatic in the past. We can kind of compare this to, let's say we rewind humanity a few thousand years back. You're in the jungle, and you have this bridge that you're going to walk over. And when you walk over, you get bit by a snake, and you almost die from the poison in the snake. From the snake. Then, next time you see this bridge, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to go to the bridge because it is dangerous. I'm going to be full of fear when we see this bridge. And it's the same. It's really meant to protect us. But let's say somebody came along and they removed all the snakes from the area 10 years later, and now it's snake secure. Now we don't need to feel this anymore. This protective emotion that we have attached to the bridge does no longer serve us. But first we need to recognize that it's not the bridge that is making. The bridge is pure. Somebody that sees that bridge for the first time, they're going to be fine. You, on the other hand, you're going to see the bridge, and naturally this protector emotion part is going to make you repel or bounce. So, first key, recognizing that it's not the action. The action is pure. It is what we have associated with this action that we are reacting away from, thinking that we react to the action, the bridge. Okay, so this bounce, this is procrastination. Something comes up, we need to do it, and then what do? We bounce from this, and we bounce into our toolbox of coping mechanisms. Every person has their own tool set, a toolbox of mechanisms, but they usually tend to have something in common. They tend to be like blankets. Because we get this emotion that we don't want to feel. There's this fear when we see the bridge. And now we need to kind of forget that we have fear. So we tend to come with a blanket coping mechanism. It could be scrolling. It could be watching, binge watching. It could be eating, because eating actually disconnects us from our body, where we actually feel these sensations of fear. So we get tired and we can sleep. We might go for numbing things like drugs. This is what these coping mechanisms have in common, and they actually get activated to protect us, because our body just sees our sensations, not the things. So we're naturally looking for something to remove these sensations from us. So these are the coping mechanisms that we run into. It's also quite interesting to see that if we have 5 coping mechanisms and we get tired of our main one, let's say our main one is scrolling social media, we remove that, then it's just going to be replaced by our number 2 coping mechanism, which might be watching Netflix, or partying, or being in a clingy relationship, I don't know, something like that. The second coping mechanism is going to step up and cover for the one you removed. So we can't really fix procrastination by removing our coping mechanisms. We need to kind of go earlier in the chain. We need to recognize that when we bounce off of an illusion, we see the bridge and we react away from the bridge, but we're actually reacting from the emotion that we have attached from the bridge from earlier life. We are feeding this illusion. We are kind of maintaining this illusion that the bridge is dangerous, and by escaping away from this, we are going into survivor bias, where it's like, oh, I would have died if I walked over that bridge, so me walking around it extra 20 minutes actually saved my life. That is survivor bias, when we feed this illusion with our energy. So, yeah. So, what can we do then when we are standing in front of this bridge? Well, the key that I mentioned earlier is first to recognize that I am not reacting away from the action, I am reacting away from the fear. This fear is actually good. It means things are working. This fear is your system working exactly as it should It is meant to work this way to protect you. But if we just hold up, wait a minute, observe, and not run in the opposite direction away from the illusion and strengthening the illusion, we can observe, recognize that the action and the feeling are separate, then a distance will begin to form. We can see that they are both separate things, and then while observing we recognize that, oh, this fear wants me to bounce from this action, but we are not gonna let it this time. We are simply going to observe this fear and let it tell us organically. This wisdom is gonna appear. Why am I trying to protect myself from this? When did this traumatic association, action, and feeling happen? And this is going to tell us when. Maybe it's going to tell us when, but at least why. And if we can just disconnect, first create the space, then create this wisdom, and then some compassion to ourselves, that everything is working exactly as it should, this just no longer serves me anymore. I'm not going to react away and bounce this time into my coping mechanisms. I'm gonna sit here until this emotion is no longer there. This energy that is trying, this illusion of energy, this bundle of energy, is gonna want you to react away from it. But this time you're not gonna let it. You're gonna let that energy exhaust itself until wisdom arrives, and you'll be able to permanently be free from this. It will require some practice, but this energy needs to come from somewhere, and as long as you don't feed into this illusion, it will naturally melt, and you will be free from reacting away from this action. Then you will begin to use this pattern to see, oh, where am I bouncing? and using this pattern to deal with this as they come up. Actually, these triggers of wanting to bounce away from certain things are actually moments where we can grow now. I think that was what I wanted to communicate in this video. Good luck breaking old patterns. Good luck. Enjoy.